Prepare to embark on a riveting journey through the hidden corridors of history in The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. Unveiling the gripping untold stories of racial segregation and its profound impact on our society, this audiobook summary will shatter your preconceptions and open your eyes to a world of systemic injustice. Join us as we navigate the labyrinth of housing policies and discriminatory practices that have shaped the landscape of America. The Color of Law is not just a book, it's a powerful revelation that will challenge your understanding of our nation's past and its implications for the present. Get ready to be captivated, enlightened, and transformed in this audio journey through history's hidden truths. 7 Lessons Learned from The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. 1. Government's Role in Segregation. One of the key lessons from The Color of Law is that government policies played a central role in creating and perpetuating racial segregation in America. Through redlining, discriminatory lending practices, and zoning laws, the government actively segregated communities. 2. Systemic discrimination's ongoing impact. This book highlights the long-lasting consequences of racially discriminatory policies, demonstrating how they continue to shape socioeconomic disparities, education, and access to opportunities today. 3. The power of historical perspective. The Color of Law underscores the importance of understanding the historical context of segregation. By studying the past, we can better comprehend and address current racial inequalities. 4. The role of housing inequity. Housing is not just a place to live, it's a cornerstone of economic opportunity. This book teaches us that equitable housing policies are fundamental to addressing racial disparities and fostering inclusive communities. 5. The need for accountability. Rothstein's work emphasizes the need for accountability and reparative policies to rectify the injustices of the past, and he presents a compelling argument for the role of government in this process. 6. Shifting the paradigm. The book encourages us to challenge traditional narratives about racial disparities and to recognize that they are not solely the result of personal choices, but also systemic and structural factors. 7. Grassroots advocacy and activism. The Color of Law inspires us to engage in grassroots activism, advocating for just housing policies and racial equity. It reminds us that real change often comes from the efforts of dedicated individuals and communities. These lessons from The Color of Law are not just historical insights, they provide a roadmap for understanding and addressing racial inequality in our society, making it a crucial read for those seeking to promote social justice and equity. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein is a groundbreaking and meticulously researched book that delves into the hidden history of racial segregation in the United States. Rothstein uncovers the deeply ingrained practices and policies that systematically segregated Black and white Americans, leading to profound and enduring inequalities. Here is a detailed summary of the book. 1. Government-sanctioned segregation. Rothstein begins by challenging the prevailing notion that racial segregation in the U.S. was solely a result of private prejudice and market forces. He convincingly argues that the government at all levels played an active role in creating and maintaining racial segregation through various policies, laws, and regulations. This includes the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, which explicitly favored white home buyers and developers. 2. The practice of redlining. A key focus of the book is the practice of redlining, a term derived from the color-coded maps created by the FHA and other agencies. These maps marked neighborhoods in red if they were predominantly Black, effectively denying them access to mortgage insurance and government-backed loans. This system, in effect, excluded Black families from homeownership and the benefits that came with it. 3. Racially restrictive covenants. Rothstein also explores the use of racially restrictive covenants in housing contracts, which explicitly prohibited homeowners from selling to Black buyers. These covenants were enforced through the legal system and were pervasive throughout much of the 20th century. 4. Segregated public housing. The book reveals that public housing, rather than being a solution to housing disparities, often reinforced segregation. Government-sponsored public housing projects were designed to maintain racial separation, with separate projects for black and white residents. 5. Zoning laws and discriminatory practices. Rothstein discusses how zoning laws and discriminatory practices, such as land use regulations and unequal distribution of public services, played a significant role in maintaining segregated neighborhoods. 6. Education and segregation. The book also touches on how housing segregation has profound consequences for education. Segregated housing often leads to segregated schools, perpetuating educational disparities. 7. The ongoing impact. Rothstein emphasizes that the consequences of these policies are not merely historical, they continue to affect racial disparities today. Racial gaps in wealth, education, and other areas are directly linked to the deliberate policies of the past. 8. The need for remedies. In the latter part of the book, Rothstein explores potential remedies for the persistent racial segregation and inequality. He argues for a re-evaluation of housing policies and the need for government intervention to address the ongoing consequences of past discrimination. The Color of Law is a compelling and eye-opening account that challenges conventional wisdom about the causes of racial segregation in America. By revealing the active role of the government in creating and perpetuating segregation, Rothstein's work calls for a re-examination of the policies and practices that have shaped our society. It is an essential read for those interested in understanding the roots of racial inequality in the United States and working towards a more just and equitable future. 9. Historical context and nuance. Rothstein meticulously contextualizes the history of racial segregation, acknowledging the complexities and nuances of this deeply entrenched issue. He highlights that while many Americans may recognize the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws, they may not be as aware of the subtler, yet equally devastating, practices of segregation in housing. By diving into the specifics of how government agencies and institutions actively upheld and perpetuated these practices, Rothstein provides a comprehensive understanding of the historical forces at play. 10. Personal stories and case studies. Throughout The Color of Law, Rothstein weaves in personal stories and case studies, making the book both deeply human and intellectually engaging. By sharing the experiences of individuals and communities impacted by segregation, he underscores the very real and often heart-wrenching consequences of these policies. These personal narratives breathe life into the historical data and statistics, making the book relatable and emotionally resonant. 11. The moral imperative. Rothstein's work is not just a historical analysis but a call to action. He argues that recognizing the government's role in segregation obligates society to take moral responsibility for its consequences. He contends that reparative policies, such as investments in affordable housing and addressing school segregation, are necessary to rectify the ongoing disparities caused by past government actions. 12. Contemporary relevance. As of the book's publication, its relevance had only increased, given the ongoing national conversations about racial justice and equity. Rothstein's book provides a compelling framework for understanding how the historical legacy of segregation continues to manifest itself in our society, from housing discrimination to disparities in economic opportunity and educational outcomes. In conclusion, The Color of Law is a revelatory book that exposes the hidden and government-sanctioned history of racial segregation in the United States. It challenges conventional narratives, presents a compelling case for reparative actions, and serves as a powerful reminder that addressing racial inequalities requires acknowledging the government's role in their creation. Rothstein's work is an essential read for anyone seeking a deeper understanding of the roots of racial inequality in America and the pathways toward a more just and equitable future. If The Color of Law has piqued your interest and left you hungry for more knowledge on this important subject, then I highly recommend delving deeper into the book itself. It's an eye-opening journey that challenges your understanding of racial segregation in America and offers compelling solutions for a more equitable future. For those of you who want to explore the book further, you can easily find it by following the link in the description below. Your support for the author, Richard Rothstein, and his impactful work is a step towards a more informed and just society. If you found this book summary enlightening, please take a moment to like and share it with your friends and family. Spreading awareness about these critical issues is a small but significant step towards positive change. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive more thought-provoking book summaries in this category and stay up to date with other engaging literary journeys that await you. Your subscription helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge and insights from the most influential books. Thank you for being a part of our community dedicated to the pursuit of wisdom and understanding. Before we dive into the enlightening world of The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein, it's essential to understand the profound significance of this work and the author behind it. Richard Rothstein is a distinguished historian, scholar, and former journalist whose research and writings have left an indelible mark on our understanding of racial segregation in the United States. The Color of Law stands as a groundbreaking exploration of the hidden history of government-sanctioned racial segregation. In this meticulously researched and thought-provoking book, Rothstein dismantles common misconceptions and offers a compelling narrative of how the government played an active role in creating and sustaining racial segregation in our nation. By exposing the intricacies of policies, such as redlining, racially restrictive covenants, and discriminatory lending practices, Rothstein unveils the systemic injustices that continue to shape our society today. So, as we embark on this journey through the pages of The Color of Law, be prepared to be enlightened and challenged. This is not just a book, it's a call to action and an essential piece of the puzzle in the ongoing quest for justice and equality. Now, let's delve into the powerful insights and transformative lessons this book has to offer. 1. Government-sanctioned segregation. The central premise of the book is that government policies at various levels actively contributed to and enforced racial segregation in the United States. Richard Rothstein meticulously demonstrates how government agencies, particularly the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, systematically favored white home buyers and developers while discriminating against Black Americans. This government-sanctioned segregation was not limited to housing but extended to education, employment, and other aspects of American life. 2. Racial disparities and inequality. Rothstein's work highlights the profound and enduring consequences of these policies, leading to significant racial disparities and inequalities. He delves into the far-reaching impacts of housing segregation, such as limited access to quality education, employment opportunities, and financial stability, all of which continue to affect African Americans today. These disparities are at the heart of the book's exploration. 3. Redlining and discriminatory practices. One of the key themes in the book is redlining, a practice where neighborhoods were color-coded, with Black neighborhoods marked in red to signify high-risk areas for lenders. This resulted in Black families being denied access to mortgage insurance and government-backed loans, effectively preventing them from home ownership and the wealth-building opportunities it provides. 4. Historical context and ongoing relevance. The book underscores the importance of understanding the historical context of segregation and its ongoing relevance. Rothstein argues that recognizing the government's role in segregation obligates society to take moral responsibility for its consequences, emphasizing that addressing these historical injustices is crucial to achieving true racial equality. 5. The need for reparative actions. Throughout the book, Rothstein advocates for remedial policies to address the persistent racial disparities caused by past government actions. He contends that investments in affordable housing, addressing school segregation, and other measures are necessary to rectify the ongoing impacts of these discriminatory policies. In essence, The Color of Law explores the profound impact of government-sanctioned racial segregation on the lives of African Americans in the United States. It dismantles the myth that segregation was solely a result of private prejudice, revealing the active role of government policies. The book serves as a clarion call for societal acknowledgement and action to address the enduring inequalities that have their roots in the systemic injustices of the past. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein is not a traditional narrative with a plot in the conventional sense. Instead, it is a non-fiction work that presents historical analysis and explores the systemic issues of government-sanctioned racial segregation in the United States. It doesn't follow a linear plot structure with characters and events. Instead, it examines policies, practices, and their consequences over time. However, a concise overview of the book's major points and turning moments could be as follows. 1. Introduction to Government-Sanctioned Segregation. The book opens by challenging the common belief that segregation in the United States was solely the result of individual prejudice. It introduces the premise that government policies actively contributed to and enforced racial segregation. 2. Redlining and racially restrictive governance. Rothstein explains the practice of redlining, where government agencies created color-coded maps that labeled black neighborhoods as higher-risk areas for lending. This effectively denied black Americans access to mortgage insurance and government-backed loans. The book also explores racially restrictive covenants, which explicitly prohibited homeowners from selling to black buyers. 3. Segregated public housing and education. Rothstein delves into how government-sponsored public housing projects were designed to maintain racial separation, and how this policy reinforced segregation. The book also highlights how segregated housing often led to segregated schools, perpetuating educational disparities. 4. Historical context and ongoing relevance. The author emphasizes the importance of understanding the historical context of segregation and its continuing relevance. Rothstein argues that addressing these historical injustices is essential to achieving true racial equality. 5. The need for reparative actions. Throughout the book, Rothstein advocates for reparative policies, such as investments in affordable housing and addressing school segregation. He argues that these measures are necessary to rectify the ongoing impacts of discriminatory government policies. In The Color of Law, the turning points are not events in a traditional plot but rather the revelations and insights that emerge as the book systematically dismantles the myth that segregation was primarily a result of individual bias. The book drives home the message that government policies played a central and active role in creating and sustaining racial segregation in the United States, which continues to impact society today. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein conveys several key lessons, insights, and messages that offer valuable takeaways for the audience. 1. Government's role in segregation. The book underscores the significant and often underestimated role that government policies played in creating and maintaining racial segregation. It challenges the narrative that segregation was solely the result of private prejudice and illuminates the active governmental contribution to the problem. 2. Systemic discrimination's ongoing impact. Rothstein's work highlights that the consequences of past government policies continue to shape racial disparities in the present day. It serves as a stark reminder of the deeply entrenched and enduring effects of these policies on economic opportunity, education, and social justice. 3. The power of historical perspective. Understanding the historical context of segregation is essential for recognizing its ongoing impact. The book encourages readers to explore the historical roots of racial disparities to comprehend and address present-day inequalities better. 4. The role of housing inequity. Housing is not merely a shelter but a cornerstone of economic opportunity. Rothstein's work emphasizes the need for equitable housing policies and their fundamental role in addressing racial disparities and fostering inclusive communities. 5. The need for accountability. The book advocates for accountability and reparative actions to address the injustices of the past. Recognizing the government's role in segregation obligates society to take moral responsibility for its consequences. 6. Challenging traditional narratives. The Color of Law encourages readers to challenge conventional narratives about racial disparities, pushing them to recognize that these disparities are not solely the result of personal choices but also of systemic and structural factors. 7. Grassroots advocacy and activism. The book inspires readers to engage in grassroots activism and advocate for just housing policies and racial equity. It underscores that real change often originates from the efforts of dedicated individuals and communities. The Color of Law is not just a historical analysis but a call to action. It offers a comprehensive understanding of the historical roots of racial inequality in the United States and provides a roadmap for addressing these disparities. The book encourages personal growth through a deeper understanding of societal issues, offers philosophical reflections on the role of government in shaping communities, and provides practical advice for those seeking to promote social justice and equity in their own lives and communities. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein has received widespread acclaim as a thought-provoking and insightful book. It is often lauded for its meticulous research, compelling arguments, and its ability to challenge conventional wisdom about racial segregation in the United States. Readers and experts alike have found it to be an essential work that sheds light on the hidden history of government-sanctioned discrimination, and many appreciate its call to action in addressing the enduring consequences of these policies. Readers interested in American history, social justice, and issues of racial inequality tend to find The Color of Law to be an eye-opening and educational experience. It has played a significant role in stimulating important conversations and encouraging a deeper understanding of the systemic factors contributing to racial disparities in the country. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein would be appealing and relevant to a wide range of listeners due to several reasons. 1. Understanding of racial inequality. The book provides valuable insights into the historical roots of racial inequality in the United States. It offers a comprehensive perspective on the systemic factors contributing to disparities in housing, education, employment, and economic opportunity. This knowledge is relevant to anyone interested in social justice and seeking a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by marginalized communities. 2. Relevance to current events. In a world where conversations about racial justice and equity are at the forefront of public discourse, The Color of Law offers historical context and analysis that can enrich these discussions. It sheds light on how past government policies continue to impact contemporary society, making it particularly relevant to individuals seeking to engage in current social and political issues. 3. Advocacy and activism. The book inspires grassroots activism and advocacy for just housing policies and racial equity. For listeners looking to make a difference and address societal injustices, it provides valuable knowledge and arguments that can inform their efforts. 4. Policy and government awareness. The Color of Law encourages a critical examination of the role of government in shaping communities. It is essential reading for those interested in understanding the consequences of government policies on housing and racial segregation, making it relevant to individuals engaged in policy research and advocacy. 5. Educational value. For students and educators, the book is an invaluable resource for teaching and learning about the history of racial segregation in the United States. It offers a well-documented historical account that can enrich classroom discussions and promote critical thinking. 6. Personal growth and empathy. The Color of Law can foster personal growth by expanding one's empathy and understanding of the challenges faced by marginalized communities. It encourages listeners to reflect on societal issues and consider their roles in promoting justice and equity. This book addresses a wide range of life stages, challenges, and aspirations, making it appealing and relevant to those interested in history, social justice, advocacy, education, policy, and personal growth. It serves as a powerful resource for anyone looking to broaden their perspective and engage with the critical issues of racial inequality in the United States.